What's up, guys? Got it from Chernobyl Studios, and I am very much privileged again to sit down and speak with Karl, Karl Sanders, NILE, the man, the legend, the dude. Karl, how you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Doing fine, Scott. Man, how's it going?
It's been a minute, It's been a minute. I mean, how's it been going in general? We've been kind of kept in contact a little. I've had some Cubase and some guitar lessons from you, but overall, what's the haps? What's going on?
Well, busy in now world, working on new stuff. Got a tour coming up in February, March here in the
Finally,
States. Real happy about that. Yeah,
probably counting the days, I'm sure.
dude, I live for metal, right?
Yeah.
My whole life has been, metal. So this stay at home for a year and a half, nearly 2 years. Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck?
That's got to be interesting for a person who is acclimated to traveling often, and then you're home. Maybe some kind of internal clock is like, I should be going somewhere.
Yeah, but I think I've been home now long enough to reset that internal biorhythm to the home one now. So instead of being constantly acclimated to the rhythm of tour life, now I'm acclimated to the rhythm of practice, give lessons, write songs. Practice, give lessons, write songs. Practice, give lessons, write songs.
So you're probably going to be giving Steve Vai some guitar lessons, is what you're saying, basically.
No, I mean he's stuck at home practicing too, so I'm not
Oh,
giving
that's
him
true. Yeah,
lessons.
gonna
Yeah.
call up Rusty, be like, Rusty, check this out. Look what I can do.
It doesn't work that way with Rusty. I mean, when I'm hanging out with Rusty in some of the best times ever, but that guy has got so many guitar ideas, he can just keep going for hours and never repeat himself.
Wow.
So it's like when Rusty's around, I don't even want to touch my guitar. I
Right.
mean, come on.
It's pretty. He's pretty intense. I mean,
Yep.
wow. Um, it's pretty incredible. For some reason, I'm still working on the picking things that you've been giving me, and I'm still trying to adapt to the way that you had showed me how to do it. And I'm just sitting there thinking. One day I was looking at my hand, going, "It's pretty incredible how human beings can have such precision on these little tiny s strings, and make no noise
Right.
and play
Think about
clean."
that little treble string is, it's not much thicker than a human hair,
Yeah.
and your mate trying to make a guitar pick, work efficiently, right? Be right on it. That's that's a magical, thing about human physiology that
Yeah.
we can even do that, right?
Speaking of the lessons and stuff, talking about getting the lessons and getting used to, that routine. I mean, overall, how has that been? Mostly pretty booked up all the time, or I mean, I'm sure you are, but I mean, my
Well,
experience with you has been really nice. You're very, you're just like, what do you need to know, and you're very communicable. You're really helpful. But are there any horror stories? I mean, any people you had to just block out of your existence? I mean, I don't have to give any details, but I mean, in general, it's probably been pretty good, I hope.
uh, I look at it as a completely positive kind of thing.
Cool.
Um, the first run I did, like last summer, I was just like, give me as much as I can take,
Right.
right? And it was like, across the whole week. And I lost my mind. That
Yep.
was, there were people taking lessons that weren't really interested in learning anything. So what I've got now, I've got it down to just 2 days that I devote. Okay, I'm going to teach Thursday. I'm going to teach Saturday, and I've been really lucky this time around. I've got some incredible students who just breathed life back into my love for the guitar.
Awesome.
Some of these fucking guys that take lessons from me are ridiculously good guitar players. Half the time I'm going,
How'd you do that? Can
what
you
am I
show
going
that
to
to
show
me?
this guy?
Right.
He already fucking shreds the guitar to pieces. What am I going to show this guy? And so sometimes the lessons go sideways.
Sure.
And but I've actually learned some incredible things from some of these students. So it's been a rejuvenation in some areas, and eye-opening in others. Like when you see so many different guitar players firsthand doing things differently, because everybody has a slightly different take on it. It's an opportunity to see things from a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of really enjoy that because obviously when you're stuck at home during this COVID, you are not like out and about taking in musical influences, going to shows, hanging out at the local musician hangout or whatever. That's cut off. So I really welcome it, the influx
Mm-hmm.
of other people's musical ideas. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I taught English for 5 years, and completely true what you're saying. I mean, you come in as the teacher, right? Like, yeah, I'll show them what to do. And it's very true, where I have a concept I think I can understand and explain it, and then a student asks the questions, and I'm like, fuck, I'll have to
Mm-hmm.
get back to you on that one, because I don't know, but I will find the answer, and I'll let you know next time. And it is pretty neat. Speaking of working asses off, you've had 600 albums in the last 30 years, give or take a few. I did want to
What?
ask you. I'm trolling. I mean, like you've released a lot of material over 30 years. I did want to ask you. Last time we spoke, you made a passing comment because we were talking about vinyl nilotic rights, about the reception and the internet and whatever. And you made a passing comment how vinyl nilotic rights was like the most well received ever. The least amount of internet hate, I think is what you
The
said.
least amount of hate. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the same thing.
Right, sure. But when Darkened Shrines came out, you said you had to like go talk to someone, and I'm confused because you look at Darkened Shrine, like what are the three fucking first tracks? Blessed Dead, Execration Text, Sarcophagus, classics. So I mean, those are classic Nile songs. So I mean, what was the big issue back then? Why did people hate it?
Well, I think time allows one the benefit and luxury of perspective. When that album was coming out, it was in the early years of the internet and metal forums, metal chat things.
Mm-hmm.
MySpace was just becoming a thing, right? So prior to that, there was not as much. Everybody had a voiceable, hearable opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right? This was a new thing, um, and I kind of blame Relapse in some of this because they took what's commonplace now for a record company to troll their own artists in order to generate buzz. Right? They did a lot of that with us, where they would go online under, ghost identities and throw hate on their own artists just to stir up the pot so that fans could go, "Oh no, you're wrong." And it was an early version of clickbait,
Forum
right?
wars.
But I wasn't prepared to understand that, okay, if you sell 50,000 records, that's 50,000 people that liked your record enough to buy it for whatever reason. All right. Some percentage of people are just not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is
Oh,
death
yeah.
metal we're talking about. Not everyone's going to love it. All right. So somewhere in your rational brain, you understand that, okay, not everyone's going to like it. But human perception of numbers, if 1,000 people, right, say that your album sucked,
Mm-hmm.
right, that may only be one out of every 50 fucking people.
Right.
Or one out of every 10 people. Or, see, it's some percentage, right? Whatever number it's, I don't know. Right? So, it's easy to intellectualize that, right, and conceptualize it as a percentage number. Okay, well, that's not so bad. But when you have 1,000 people that say, this is fucking bullshit, fuck this album, right? It's still 1,000 people in your brain, right? Especially in those days before we understood the internet at all, right? It was 1,000 people, or X number of people going, fuck this fucking album. These guys, fuck them, right? Your brain can't handle it. It's, if you walk down the street and 5 people spat in your face, well, that's, there's nearly 8 billion people on this planet. So as far as a percentage number, that's a pretty small percentage of people.
Right.
But I guarantee you, it would only take 2 or 3 people spitting on you before you got riled up.
Yeah.
And, your day got fucking shitty. So, yeah. So that's kind of what I think was going on. Is just not prepared for the reality of, hey, not everyone's going to like what you do. And there's going to be some people now given a free placed comment at will, voice their opinions, good or bad. I wasn't prepared for it.
Fair enough.
I don't think anybody was.
Especially at that time.
Especially at that time. So, yeah, some people threw some hate on that record. But that's just the way it is. Not everyone's going to like whatever it is you do. Okay, I can see that now.
Sure.
But then, encountering any level of hate, I didn't see the point. If I don't like something, I just don't spend my time or energy on it.
Well, that's the what's that called? That's what a logical person does.
Right.
I'm very much the same. If I don't give a shit about it, it's not on my radar. I'm not going out of my way to go, this guy sucks. So I just found it very interesting because I thought maybe it had something to do with the music because it's not like there was a big change from the previous album to that album. I'm like, what the fuck is the problem? Songs are awesome.
No.
So, but very interesting point that you make about so the early days are called forum wars, and, the dog piles piling on, whatever. The threads would be like 40 pages. People have no idea what we're talking about right now. Just, I don't know. And then I think you guys even had NILE Catacombs. You had your own forum for a long time. I remember that. When did you actually finally shut that down?
I just stopped going. They kept it going for a while, but it wasn't really a safe haven either. Just because it was a NILE forum, there were plenty of people that went there to hate on us. And, on the one hand, as an artist, I'm holding both hands and I said one hand. On the one hand, right, as an artist, there's a certain amount of feedback that is constructively useful for objective analysis, constructive self-improvement. Some amount of it.
If they give it in such a way.
Well, you can't tell a fan, hey, wait a minute, you can only give your opinion if you give it in this certain way.
I mean,
the world doesn't work that way.
I know. Okay, fair enough. You make a good point, yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're just going to say whatever it is they have fucking say, and you know what? There you go.
Right.
So, well, on the one hand, I would look at comments in those days and, maybe I can learn something useful. But there's only so much toxicity one can imbibe
Yeah.
and still maintain a balanced perspective.
No, it's true. I would imagine at this point you just ignore everything for the most part.
Well, yeah, but it's tough to ignore. My wife says you only see the negative comments. You don't see all the positive comments.
I love my wife because she is very similar. um,
Yeah.
it must be also a human nature thing about, like you were saying, 10,000 people could like it, but you'll only remember the one cock who has to throw some shade for some reason. I don't know why
Yeah.
that. Maybe as artists, actually, this leads right into the next question. You lived through that period, because the internet was a big thing at the time, where now anyone and their mom could type whatever they want without getting punched in the face, which has created other problems I think we're having lately.
There's no consequences for anything.
Right. Yeah. So what I think has happened is it has made people hesitant to share their music or to share their art or whatever they're creatively doing, due to basically already having anxiety to the idea that someone's going to shit all over them. How were you able to? I mean, that's the truth. I mean,
yeah, I read an article on that just the other day. It was in a different context. It was about speaking up at your work office about whatever. But yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just like the how were you able to work through it? I mean, I'm sure it had to piss you off and just literally just ruin your days. But what could you maybe tell a person who has some songs, they want to throw them on Bandcamp or something like that? How to prepare for the inevitability of some dude basically shitting on them for their ideas.
Well, and I hope this is helpful. I don't think that the person who has anxiety about the worthiness of whatever they're offering is the person that actually should legitimately be experiencing the anxiety about the worthiness of what they're offering. The person who doesn't give a fucking shit what anybody fucking thinks probably didn't put as much time, care, and love into this music they're presenting to everybody to even give a shit in the first place. That's why we got so much fucking shitty formulaic fucking bullshit cluttering up our universe. Those people who actually care and feel an anxiety, is this good enough? Is this worth listening to? Am I wasting listeners' time with what I'm doing, or am I bringing something that's worth listening to? If a person goes to all the trouble to think those fucking thoughts, they probably also put that amount of thought and care when they were writing and recording and mixing and, the whole 9 yards, because they fucking cared and they gave a shit.
Right.
So if a person is experiencing those thoughts, I would say, yes, go ahead, put it out. It is a gauntlet that we all face as people making music. Yes, if you put yourself up and out there will be people that throw rocks at you. There will also be people that throw stuff that's not rocks.
Money. Give me your music.
Well, not even money. At this point, it's not about the money, because there's not a whole lot of money to go around, playing all kind of music. So it's not really about money. Yeah, it's about, making music and wanting to share it with other people. And there's a certain joy if you make some music, you share it with people and they enjoy it, then we've made the circuit connect, right? And the energy is flowing. And not a kook here. It's not cosmic, but you're just completing the circle, and it's the natural order. It's the way it's supposed to be. I play some music, you enjoy the music, we're all motherfucking happy,
Right.
right? Okay, so that's our place, and that's all we really want.
That's the truth. Yeah,
That's all
honestly.
we want. I play some music. So, if you cared enough to be concerned in the first place about putting your music out there, then probably you should be putting it out there, and maybe you might get a few rocks thrown at you. And some of them might really hurt.
Facts.
But there's also the opportunity that someone may enjoy it and get something out of it. So it's kind of like even just living at all.
Yep.
If you cross the street, you might get run over by a car, or you might make it all the way across the street and make it to McDonald's.
Right.
And not that McDonald's is anything great.
Depends.
It's not.
In the morning it is. I love the sauce.
But if you're standing on the side of the road where there's no food and nothing to drink, and on the other side of the road is some shitty food, well, it's better to cross that road.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Something, anything.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think I would also like to add to that person who maybe is thinking about it. It never goes away. It never goes away. I'm pretty calloused, having done YouTube and received death threats, shitty comments, whatever and whatnot. I'm pretty calloused, but every once in a while, someone will just find the way to just like that napalm death and just twist a knife. You're just like, motherfucker.
Man, yeah,
where'd you find that spot?
Little fucking place where it really hurts. Yeah.
And but Sally forth, as they say. That's the only thing.
And so all you can do anyway to live is to struggle.
That's the truth. But you'll feel better when you do it. Like the first time is always the hardest, in my experience. And then to a degree, at least for me, I do and don't care. I care if it's someone I know or trust. Like if I sent you something, Karl, and you sent me 3 paragraphs of criticism, I'm going to care. It'll still be hurtful, but I'm going to listen to what you're saying. You understand what I mean.
Friends. You
right.
Trust me.
Correct.
Right. If I took the time to write 3 entire paragraphs, then
5 sentences each.
Obviously, I cared enough.
Correct. Yeah.
To write paragraphs.
But if some dude on the internet is just gonna be like, "This is trash," it's like doesn't even register. Like consider the source. Also, is very important. I think I would also say, and also just because they're your parents,
very politically incorrect philosophy.
Consider the source.
Yeah, it's truth. You're speaking the truth, but nowadays that's completely not an acceptable philosophy whatsoever.
I didn't know. I don't pay attention. I just live my life. I try to do what I think is right. That's about it.
And that's what we should be doing. I think the society that we live in that is so deeply based in shallow things like social media. It's not actual life. It's
consider the source just basically means if someone who you trust says something and they know what they're talking about, aka if I sent something to Karl and he sends me feedback and it's not entirely positive, even though it may still be hurtful, I understand that I need to pay attention. His comments would mean more to me than some dude I have no idea who he is writing me a same length letter telling me it's shit. I'm gonna be like, all right, whatever, delete. So that's something that I do that seems to help me out a little bit, because it happens.
Yep. You can't get away from it. It's gonna happen. Anytime you put yourself out there, you're opening yourself up, and you're a vulnerable target. You're a sitting duck, really.
I don't know if maybe you don't want to answer this question actually, because maybe it'll be interesting. But is there a NILE song you've written where you wrote it? It's okay, we'll call it good enough. You know what that means. It's on the record. It's all good. You're like, well, that's done. Which turns out to be a huge fan favorite and just took you totally by surprise.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you trying to get me to name which one of those?
Maybe you could. No. I mean, there are some that are quite obviously like you wrote the song, you're like, this is gonna fucking slam. But I'm sure there are a couple where you're like, really? That's the song you guys like?
A song like "Lashed to the Slave Stick," right? You can't call it a bad song because it's a pretty cool song.
Yeah.
Did we expect people to go as gaga over it as they did? Well, probably not. I mean, to us, it was a medium tempo song, kind of catchy. Well, it's our job to write some catchy songs. So we just were doing our job the best we could, trying to write some stuff that people would enjoy. But never in a zillion years when I was writing the words "lashed to the slave stick" did I think I would hear as many people for this many years like really embracing a song like that. I mean, you don't think about that. I mean, you think about like "Cast Down Heretic," or write something like "Sacrifice to Sebek" or "Annihilation of the Wicked," or
of course,
any of those really high voltage numbers. That's where your brain is at. You're not necessarily thinking about the medium tempo one that is groovy and catchy. Yeah,
it's very funny.
People are going to like whatever it is they're going to like. So if they like that song, it's perfectly okay with us.
Of course.
It doesn't hurt our feelings if somebody likes "Lashed to the Slave Stick." The mere fact that fans got something at all from something that we did, for us, that's enough. Yeah, okay, we're happy. We wrote something, we played it, people liked it. Circle is complete.
Circle is complete. There we go. I mean, I think maybe to this day, Burning Pits of Duat is probably number one for me. Just dun, 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 just that particular riffing style in the beginning, and just like, oh god.
Yeah, it's some brutal shit.
That is catchy as all hell with what is it, 270 blast? I don't know how you do it, but it works.
Well, I don't have to play those drums.
Yeah, good job, good job, George. Keep on doing that. George is a fucking monster. I mean, you know what I want to see? I want to see George be 60 years old and him count in for whatever album you're doing. Next song. I'm really nailing these segues today. Like, I didn't plan this at all, but next question was, the last time we spoke, you mentioned something about a solo album.
Mm-hmm.
We're about a year later.
Playing now, a year later, after 3 different labels have dropped the ball on this thing.
So it does exist. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to put it out yourselves. So is that going to be like a Bandcamp thing, or what are you thinking about?
No, it's not going to be on Bandcamp. It's coming out on Knife Fight Media.
Cool.
First, it'll be digital with only a small amount of physical product.
Oh, cool.
So I'm tired of it. I finished this record last year. I'm tired of it waiting around, waiting to get a release date, because everyone is fighting for release dates. No one's touring, right? So what is every band motherfucking doing?
Got to release material to stay relevant. Yeah.
Right? Let's put out a record so that, there's more bands than there are release dates.
This is true. This is very true.
An album like this Saurian record, it's a small little niche record. It's not really a high priority for any label. It's going to sell its little amount to people that follow that stuff, but that's
Right.
it. So on the chain of importance, this is not as important as the new Trivium or whatever, as far as the record company is concerned.
Right.
No.
Right. So is that a possibility for this year, or are we like next year, early next year?
6 weeks from now.
Oh shit! All right.
What they're telling. So
sweet. I can't wait to hear that. I'm
yeah,
sure it's awesome. So
I'll
it'll be
send you
good.
some stuff.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll be sure to put it on the nearest torrent website immediately and make a Twitter post about it.
There you go.
Total sarcasm. So, guitar question. So, on the old IG, actually on Facebook, I think you posted this. Is where I saw this. You took a picture of your guitar basically covered in pick dust, which I didn't even know could actually happen. Shows you how much I practice guitar. So after playing guitar, I mean, what is it, 45 years? I don't know the exact, it's over 40 years, I know that.
Started when I was 9, and I'm 58. So whatever the math is on that.
That's
49 years.
It's pretty intense. So coming up on 50 years of playing the guitar, what actually keeps you motivated to sit down and go, I need to get better at my down picking?
My students, especially with the down picking thing, I had a few students who were really good at it. Really good. And it's not something that we focus on a lot in NILE because of the tempo ranges we're in.
But alternate, right?
Down, the alternate picking, we do a lot of alternate picking and some down picking. But we just, that whole tempo range of like Metallica, Slayer, Exodus, we just bypassed all that. So a lot of those techniques in that tempo range, what need is there to do some Hetfield or Testament, Eric Peterson, or, there's not very many, there's a few opportunities in NILE to do that, but not so many. So it's something that, I really don't focus on in my practice routine.
Makes sense.
But some of my students, right, are fucking coming in and like they're little fucking monsters with this down picking. I'm going, wow. Maybe I should revisit this. So I went on for several months, I went on a blitzkrieg of learning how to down pick at stupid tempos. And there's a whole art and science to it.
That's incredible. I never really thought about that. Generally, if you're down picking in NILE, usually you're doing chords. Right. It's not like you're pedaling and then it's
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never even thought about that before. Fair enough.
So I had to revisit all my classic down picking things like your Master Puppets, Ride the Lightning, Bonded by Blood, Hello Eights, Half of Rain and Blood,
right.
Down picking stuff, right? And coming at it, revisiting it now, having a much better understanding of how to do it, was really enlightening. Plus, some of my students, I could watch them do it. It was like totally ridiculous, right? It's like this YouTube thing, but in a perverse big circle. Right. When I was presented with Ride the Lightning, right, in 1980, whatever, right, and I'm trying to play these riffs, and I'm just going by what I hear.
Right.
Like, there was no one to watch that really could do it, right? Because if you went to see Metallica, you were 10 feet away, 20 feet away, 100 feet away. It's not the same thing.
Right.
Right? As actually being YouTube up close, seeing how it's done. What's the motion? How do you hold the pick? How do you, relate to where the beat is, and all the little fine points, right? But some of my students had already gone down this route of they learned to downpick watching YouTube videos and watching James Hetfield play battery 50 different ways on YouTube. Okay, that's educational,
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it was really weird. Just things come in a weird fucking circle. I'm learning from students. I got this one guy. He said, "Hey, Karl, I'm having trouble with picking this riff. I can't get it any faster than 220." And he pulls out this riff, and it's an impossible down picking with string skipping things,
Okay.
right? I can't make this go any faster. And I'm like, dude, that's already fast as fuck. Are you fucking kidding me? And some of the ways this guy had worked out for working and developing downpicking, absolutely, like, I want, show me that. I want to learn that right the fuck now.
That's awesome. So I'm very curious what this is going to mean for the upcoming NILE. If you're going to have some dedicated downpicking.
There is. I wrote a few things already that were like totally opening up new paths.
Right. I mean, it'll still be NILE because it's you, but I mean, the technique will be there.
Well, I'm not going to abandon everything I've spent my whole life working on just to go do this thing, but adding in this other thing to what I'm already doing,
right,
means that there's new ways of looking at things. There's new ways of doing things. There's actually so many different ways to play music that you could go several lifetimes and not exhaust all the possibilities. So I say, if there's a new way of doing something or a different way of doing something, let it open some creative doors. What the fuck is wrong with that? I say nothing. Bring it on.
Check this out.
So you got strings.
Yeah, these are your string sets. Now, technical guitar question here. So I got these, and I'm looking at them going, yay, and you made a personalized note saying how much you adore me, etc., etc. You didn't. You just said thanks.
Did you need that? I mean, if you need to be fucked up, I can remember for next time.
It's all good. But actually, I'm looking at this. This is the 7-string set, and I'm going 70, okay, 50, yeah, eights. How the fuck is Karl playing eights on a 7-string guitar? And I asked you about this in one of our lessons, and you're like, dude, action is high. And so I'm thinking about this. Like, that makes sense, the gauge with a high action. But actually, I was thinking about this. Have you always played with a high action? And did you switch? And at this point in time, would you recommend people to play with a high action?
I would not.
Okay.
I would not. It's a thing I started doing years ago because there were a few players who I could hear in the tone and the way it was ringing that not only were they using a brass nut, but you could hear that it was a high action, but just something about the way the notes sounded, I could tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that. I liked that sound. I wanted it for myself. And when I started using the high action, it was like, wow, this gives me more control because you can get your finger under there. There's, you can grab it. When it's just laying like flat on the neck, it's easy to play, but for the speed, you're also sacrificing some control. Where some people don't care about that, right? Rusty Cooley has his actions so low, right, that you could literally hold it like this and blow on the note, and it would get a note, right? And
wow.
that's great. In some ways, that has many benefits. But I really liked the sound of that string being way up there, and the thing that it did with the tone of the note itself. And I wanted that, so it was worth the pain and agony of having high action. So it doesn't make the guitar easier to play; it makes it harder to play.
Harder, yeah. But
Yeah.
I've never really, I can't physically play high action guitars, but if I'm thinking about it, the notes would be more clear.
They are more clear.
But also, if you fuck up, it's like epic.
Right. Remember the video game with the Guitar Hero thing, and you're cruising along. If you miss a note, you get the clunk.
Clink. Yeah.
Clink. Right? Well, that's high action. Like, every note is like so easy to hit the clunk.
Oh, because you're not pressing it down hard enough, you mean?
If you don't get all the way to the note, then you don't have a note. So there's a lot of opportunity between here and here
for
that note to not happen. So just the fact that it happens. Yeah.
Do the scallop frets make that easier or harder?
It doesn't help. The reason for the scallop frets is the being able to grab the note and have control over it.
Okay.
For that, right, you're able to grab on, right? You can, if you're trying to swing a baseball bat, right, you want your whole hand around it so you can do something with it, right? You don't want to just hold it with two fingers. How much power are you going to have trying to hold a ball bat with two fingers?
Yeah, makes sense.
If you can grab onto that fucking thing, you can manhandle it.
Man, you have me so interested to try a scalloped fretboard. I will one day.
I wouldn't recommend it. You may just make you want to go, fuck this bullshit.
Well, the curiosity comes from.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Well, I understand the curiosity. Really, you really piqued my curiosity, because the problem that I have is I don't have the finger strength to push down on the fretboard like this, and I run into that Guitar Hero problem if I get tired and I can't push the frets down. But as far as I understand, as long as the string makes contact with the frets, that I'm thinking that maybe I could have a little bit of a lower action and I could more or less just play a bit more flat fingered instead of having to be curled, and it might help a little bit. If you got
scalloped frets and low action, then sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
No, high action, I could never. I can't play
that high action. It's not for everybody. Just like some of my students, right? They see these picks that I play with, right?
Yep.
Right. This is not for everybody. This is a cruel.
It is a dick
thing. Yeah.
I've never dropped more picks in my life, if I'm being honest with you.
It doesn't glide either, right?
No.
It wants to get stuck on the fucking note.
Yep.
So, the price that you pay for this ridiculous articulation scalpel is a high one. It's not easy to play. It's not fun. It sticks on the notes. But at 240, I can fucking hear those notes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why I'm willing to go through the pain and anguish of operating this beast.
Because the picks that come with your s.i.t. strings are these ones, and they're severely rounded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's a normal sane pick, right?
So people can see the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the funny thing with this one is there's no definition of the note for me when I'm playing it. It's just like it doesn't. I mean, it's
not everybody wants note definition.
It's cool. I like it because it says NILE on it. I mean, I like it. I just, yeah, but
Like,
it's
this is very similar to the question, like, hey, Carl, why doesn't your Dean guitar come with scallop frets? And why does it have a volume knob on it? That's not what you play. That is true. Right? That is true. Right? But the amount of people who actually are going to play a guitar with no volume knob and scallop frets is a tiny ass percentage of
right.
all the people that play guitar. A tiny, 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 tiny bit.
Well,
So
it wouldn't make sense. It's like sitting. It's like I play drums. It'd be like me sitting down at George's kit. It's not my setup. It would be uncomfortable for me to play. First off, maybe the heights are different. The positions don't make sense to me. So it would make zero sense to set up your guitar like how Carl plays it with sky high action and a fucking scallop fret. And then no, I mean that's it's going from a super post advanced level guitar playing from here. Uh, so I just wouldn't see the point. Now, your guitar looks sick, by the way. I want to get one. It'd be the only Dean because you know how I am with my BC Riches.
dude, you got some badass BC Riches.
I just saw, Jesus Christ. I can't believe I just forgot his name. The guy from Hate Eternal, who's playing in Cannibal now.
Eric Buchanan.
Yes, I just saw his 7-string BC Rich that they make for him, and I'm just like, oh, it looks so good.
Dude, what about the job he did on that latest Cannibal record? It is like, wow. That's how metal should sound. It's totally not cookie cutter.
Nope.
It sounds like a metal record should sound. It's like, it's raw. It's earthy.
It is. It does have those characteristics, but I do know Eric. He's a very don't know him. I mean, I know he's a very sound producer and mixer. I know what he knows what he's doing. So it's clean, precise. Everything's audible. Guitar tone sounds like a fucking chainsaw. I'm sure he's got 2 or 3 different amps blended into that thing with a number of different speakers. Just wow, sounds really fucking good. Let's see here. Dude. Speaking of things that I didn't think were going to be popular, people really enjoyed the Cubase advice that you did last time, showing people the arranger track and stuff like that.
Oh, no kidding.
And,
glad somebody got some helpful use from it.
I have, anytime I have a riff, it goes into a new session with an arranger track, and it is fucking awesome. I use it all the time.
Dude. Yeah, that one feature alone is worth every penny of Cubase Pro right there. That's the whole ball of wax from me. But there's so many other good reasons to be using Cubase Pro. That's all icing on the fucking cake.
I actually wanted to ask you. So if we would put that in the first place.
1 second.
You weren't lying, dude.
Yep.
That's fucking funny. I'm like, I don't remember you having a dog, and then I remember about your phone.
I do have a dog.
I don't remember about it. I mean, I don't think. Usually the door's closed and we're talking. I don't.
Right. Yeah, every once in a while you'll hear me have to yell at the dog because she's barking at someone walking down the street.
Nice, protecting the master.
In all my acoustic guitar tracks, right? In every acoustic guitar track here, and probably half the vocal tracks that you hear on NILE records, if we soloed them up, there would be dogs barking, there would be cars. I don't know if you can hear this coming over the mic now, but there's cars that go down that road. And
That's
trucks
hilarious.
and motorcycles, so it's it's probably, if we soloed all the vocal tracks on all the NILE records.
Probably.
Yeah.
Is that the room where you tracked with Neil Kernan, or is that a different room? Oh,
no, this is the very same room. When we were making Those Whom the Gods Detest, it took longer to secure my home loan because of a bunch of retarded bullshit reasons. So we literally had to move in and set up the room, like, so I was moving from my apartment to come here and start tracking here. So Neil Kernan actually is the one who put up all the room treatment. That's all around the room. He would, walk around the room, going this, listen to the wall, and decided where to put each piece. Every single piece of treatment in this room was a Neil Kernan decision. Mm-hmm.
Did it work out? I don't think you moved it, so sounds pretty good, I guess.
I haven't moved it. It's why it's still got this ugly green paint.
Nice.
It was hideous green, right? I mean, I hated it, but we didn't have time to repaint the room before, we need to get going on the fucking record.
Right.
So, so it's
so
still
you were sitting.
green.
So you were literally sitting just behind your left there, tracking that album. Yeah. That's fucking awesome. Yeah. So there it is, guys. That's the room he tracked in, right there.
Yeah, this is where all the stuff except for the drums on NILE Records gets done, right here at home. Which mostly it's okay, except acoustic guitars are a bitch. And occasionally there's some shitty stuff in the vocal tracks that has to be nipped out or redone. And hopefully there's not a truck going by when we do the perfect vocal take.
Oh, yeah. I grew up on a major highway, so I understand. Oh, and the Snowmobile trail ran through our front yard, too. So
wow.
And a bar was about half a mile from our fucking house. So 3 a.m, you'd hear that shit all night long.
Damn.
Yeah. Been there. Good,
so the Saurian album, it's an acoustic record, right? So that was my big challenge. How do I make an acoustic record with what I have to work with during the middle of COVID, right? So I got some time at this local bluegrass studio where they make bluegrass music.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not so crazy because if you're recording acoustic guitars and the Bagalama saws, they know how to record acoustic instruments. All right, so that was my reasoning, yeah. And it was going to work out great, except for the guy who was supposed to engineer, who really knew how to mic up acoustic guitars, got COVID and couldn't come.
Oh,
so there I was all by myself.
You were micing everything yourself.
I have to mic everything up. And play engineer, like, while I'm doing this. So I'm wearing 3 hats at once.
Good God.
So, but what saved me, you'll love this. Nowadays they make HDMI over Ethernet transmitter boxes.
Yep.
Right? And they certainly make USB over Ethernet. So I got a USB one and I got an HDMI one. So I could take the controls from the computer in the control room. I had my own monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and of course, my Cubase controller. Never go anywhere without it. Out there in the recording area, in the main room, where it sounds really nice with acoustic guitars. And I was able to work like that. Still a bitch,
awesome.
though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it turned out great, though, because, I mean, I don't want to say you're a perfectionist, to say you have a good attention to detail. So I'm sure you did
That's
it till
not necessarily in my favor, though, right? Because when you stick on both hats at once, you do a take, right, and you're playing. But you also have to scrutinize at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Right? The lines start getting blurry. Am I playing or am I scrutinizing? If you scrutinize too hard while you're trying to play, it shuts down the mechanic of actually playing. So it was painful. Like, if you instantly hear every terrible thing that you did, acoustic guitar, it's all naked. You after a while, I don't fucking feel like playing.
I'm gonna take my ball and go home. Fuck this album.
Yeah.
Never wanted to do it anyway.
But I'd look around and there was no one to get mad about, no one to vent on, no one to blame, except me. So just have to fucking do it.
And it's done, so I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
Excuse me,
too.
sorry. Speaking of Cubase again, what would be that second thing? I mean, one thing I discovered was that when you do automation, like this is something that's very important to me. You have the plugin open, right? You just click RW read write, then you press play, and you just fucking automate whatever you want to automate, and the lane
Isn't that wonderful?
just automatically
And then
shows
you
up in
can
Yes.
repencil it at will, or copy whatever section you need and move it, or adjust the whole thing at once by range selecting.
Yeah, the
right?
range select number 2 on the keyboard. Whoop. Yeah, it's
Pow!
awesome.
So these guys at Steinberg are smart. They're smarter than people give them credit for. And everyone says, oh, my DAW Reaper, beep, 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 beep. And I'm going, okay, I'm glad that you can operate a DAW too. They have made it easy enough. Everyone can do it.
Yep.
And it's also free, so it's available to everyone. Right?
Yep.
But if you're trying to do professional work, the Cubase stuff, is very deep, very well thought out.
Yeah.
For doing what you actually need to do. So for me, the ease of automation, especially working with VSTs.
100%.
Right?
That would be my thing.
That's right up there for me too. The ease of automation, the ease of quick assignability for different parameters within the automation. Like I use the shit out of those quick controls because they're so easily assignable to whatever other thing, whether it be a VST effect that you need to automate, or VST virtual instrument that you need to automate. Maybe need to attack and release, or whatever. There's a million little parameters on VSTs that can bring that shit to fucking life if you are able to record the controller information and come back around and really get it sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that was and I have to be honest, I've been diving into some of the stock plugins at Cubase. I would go out on a limb and say, like, if you wanted to make actual music from day one, Cubase has everything you need. The stock plugs are legit. Dynamic EQ, the compressors are legit. They've got tape saturator, distortion plugins. They have this fucking plugin called Chopper. So
I know.
I was just sitting there for at least the better part of an hour, just fucking around with different like thunderstorms, wind, and making it do this. Like, I'm just having fun, but I'm just like, this plugin is amazing. I mean, just discovered it accidentally. Like, wow, this thing's fucking awesome. Because normally you have to chop the audio a lot. But yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I love it. And I like the stereo delay. I like it a lot, actually. I tend to use that.
I end up using it too. It's so easy. So it's right there. It's quick. It's grabbable. Right.
Last question for you. So I saw a funny comment on our last video together where guys like, Karl never ages. Karl does not age. Now, it may come as a surprise that Karl is going to be 60 soon. Has the thought of hanging it up, kind of retiring, like, happened? Or at what point would you just kind of look around and be like, yeah, okay, I'm done?
Well, if I was going to quit and retire, it would have been a couple years ago when I got really fed up with some of the shenanigans that were going on. But I was like, wait a minute. This is what I love doing. So, no. I'm not quitting until I'm motherfucking ready to motherfucking quit. Whenever that day is, I'll know it.
Okay, fair enough. I guess when you wouldn't be excited to tour anymore would be a good indication.
yeah. But right now,
I'm sure you're
that
ready.
is not the case.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go the fuck back on tour. I live and breathe to play music, meet new fans, play our music, enjoy the metal camaraderie. I mean, that isn't just like words. I mean, it's a real thing. When you're playing your music to a room full of people who love that music, you're part of something bigger than just yourself. You're sharing that whole thing with people who love the same thing you do,
right.
right? When I was just a teenager, uh, the Heaven and Hell tour, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell album was 1980,
Great
maybe
album.
1980, right? Ryan James Dio
Yep.
album was out, came to my hometown, and our auditorium was official capacity 7,500, but there were probably 10,000 people there that night because it was oversold. Wow. So they came out, they opened with War Pigs. I'll never forget this shit as long as I motherfucking live. As soon as they hit that first power chord, gong, dude, this electric wave of human kinetic energy fucking whipped around through all 10,000 of those people. All of a sudden, we were all on the same wave of energy. As soon as we felt that first power chord, there was a magic unlike anything else from that moment. Yeah, I've tried to analyze that a bunch of times. What is that? Right? Because it's more than just the sum of its parts. I mean, it's fucking E chord. Right? It's an E chord. Big deal. But the thing that makes it that magic mountain moving force of cosmic explosive energy is all the people who are all feeling that, oh my God, this is War Pigs.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the room exploded. Well, we're all, that's making us all part of, we're all connected, right? We're human beings. There's like some kind of energy when you put a lot of humans together and you put them all on the same wavelength.
Crazy shit.
It's fucking magic. Yeah. That's what I love about metal. When we're playing Black Seeds of Vengeance or whatever, and we're all on that groove together. Black Seeds.
Yeah.
Black Seeds. And everybody in the room is on that same groove, feeling it together. That's magic, man. That's a powerful, unifying thing that I fucking love. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, because I like doing that. I like participating in that. If I weren't the one playing the fucking guitar, I'd be the one out in the audience running around, banging my head, throwing the fucking horns, singing along all the songs. I love metal.
I got into the European black metal thing as a teenager, and you know how that goes, Karl.
Yeah, sure do.
If it doesn't have blast beats, it's shit. Kind of mentality.
Well, I like blast beats. I had a similar thing. It's kind of like an elitist kind of
Sure, absolutely.
look. If it doesn't do this,
Right.
it doesn't do this and this, whatever those arbitrary X, Y, and Z are, then fuck it.
Yep.
It sucks.
Poser.
How much good music have we cheated ourselves out of
Dude.
because of ideas like that?
I have to be completely honest with you. So that started a bit of a nostalgia trip. Going, man, what was popular in '99, 2000? I know it's all new metal stuff, but I found some songs that are catchy from Korn. I'm like, I have to admit that this is a good song. I wouldn't go by the album, but I could understand why they were popular. You know, stuff like that, where I'm a bit older and able to look at it and go, okay, I still kind of don't like it, but I can at least understand it. But then you're going even further again in the 90s, when I was like listening as a kid to Pantera and then all my mom's records. Like I was listening to Injustice for All on the vinyl. I would just put the stylus on one over and fucking over and just listen to that song all the time. Her Kraftwerk vinyls, Tangerine Dream vinyls, all that shit. Just went down the
Kraftwerk.
rabbit hole. Yeah. And I'm just like, Tangerine Dream came out in 1977, or the Stratosphere album that I was listening to all the time, and I'm like, this is like the first like trance shit. It's 1977, so I don't know what all these people are doing now, thinking they're all so fucking creative.
Right. And back then, you couldn't just push a button in Ableton and it does all
Sure.
that shit. You actually, in those years, it took a little bit more. Like people like industrial techno music nowadays, right? Well, when Trent Reznor did it, when Ministry did it, it wasn't as easy as just pushing a few computer buttons in Ableton.
Yeah. Or getting a
They
sample
had to
pack.
figure out how to do that shit and make it sound like a machine.
Well, is it true that with the Ministry one, the Psalm 69 and the Way to Suck Eggs, were those drums chopped up? Because that's a traditional Euro blast beat on one of those
I've
songs.
heard that, and I believe, I absolutely believe that.
Because I think it's playable. Well, obviously, it's playable with drummers of today's. But I mean, Pete Sandoval could have played it back then. I still think it could be played.
Well, of course, but
But
it
also,
wouldn't have
wouldn't
sounded
sound.
like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? To get it to sound like that, it took some creative thought process on, okay, how do we assemble this to where this is what it sounds like,
yeah.
given the tools that they had in that day. That took a
Dude.
lot of thought. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so. Yeah. I mean, Reznor obviously is a genius in his own right for being able to manipulate sound and it's not to manipulate sound, but to sit there and go, here's what I got. What can I do with this?
That is the essence of art. Here's what I got. What can I do with it? I got a rock, a piece of a tree branch, a leaf, and some mud. Make some art out of it.
Yeah.
If you can make some art out of that, then
So
you deserve to be given
yep.
a
And then
DAW.
I had this really fucked up idea where I wanted to do I forget the name of this freaking guy's project. I can't believe it. Cell Dweller. Yeah. The sounds. Some of the sounds that he would come up with sometimes. I'm just like, I want to do that, and then just go out and start hitting shit and recording it with a microphone and be like, yeah, fuck this, put some fucking decapitator on that, crank that shit, see what happens. I think that's
Sound
probably like,
Choice Decapitator.
yeah,
Great tool. Yeah.
absolutely. It's like anything, guitars, vocals, drums, synths. It's literally anything. Those are plugins you should, not you, but if you're watching, Sound Toys are good investments. Legit. The Echo Boy, Little Plate, Decapitator, all good stuff.
Crystallizer.
Yeah, all good stuff. That suite is good shit. Yep. Just skip the wave stuff and go to Sound Toys.
I don't know if I totally skip waves. There's a lot of stuff. Waves just rules that.
L1. You use L1?
The limiter one? No, I use the
L1.
L3.
Oh, okay.
Ultra.
Yeah, I got you. Ultra Maximizer. Ultra the one with the multi-band in it.
I stay away from the multiband compressors because I fuck it up too quick. So
why don't I try Vitamin? Actually, Vitamin's pretty cool for shaping sound. It's a multiband though. Linear phase multiband is pretty legit. Sometimes you can put that on the master bus if you're kind of having a loose low end problem that you can't quite fix somehow. Like every individual part is cool, but then when you sum them all together, even if you
something gets carried away,
right, you can just tuck it in with a. Yeah, now we're nerding out here. This is why when you come to Kiev finally, and I get to watch you play, you get to hang out. I literally just want to drink and talk about Cubase, music production, and nerd the fuck out.
Okay, it's a bet. We'll do it.
And I just can't do the tequila, Karl. I'm sorry.
Well, there's not a lot of tequila in Kiev, so you'll be all right.
I was looking actually. It's just the classics. It's all the stuff that's probably there anyway. Curvo?
Cuervo.
Yeah. That's the most expensive
everywhere.
one. Yeah.
But that's okay. It'll work.
You don't drink any vodka at all? I mean, if you come to
Not
Kiev,
so
Karl,
much anymore. I used to like dabble in vodka, but I don't bother with it anymore because tequila. Once you get like to the point where you're used to drinking one liquor or another,
sure, yeah,
change, then it just throws your whole game off.
Yeah,
I don't like some liquors. Anytime I've ever had trouble was when I was mixing liquors. So you stick with tequila.
Stick with it, just straight from the shot glass to the mouth. It's good stuff. I don't actually, to be completely honest with you, I've never tried it very often, and usually it was at a bar, and I wasn't too keen. So I don't trust. I would trust your advice. So if you,
well, my advice is if you're in Kiev, drink fucking vodka.
That's what I do. Yeah, there's a lot of good local Ukrainian stuff here. I do buy single malts. I do like single malts, though. I have to be honest. Those are good for just sipping and mixing long projects because you can drink for a long time and not have a problem. But anyway, dude, Karl, it's fucking awesome talking to you. Yeah. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I love hanging out with you, Scott. You're the real deal.
I appreciate that. So, thanks a lot for chatting. I guess I'm gonna let you go somehow.
I actually have stuff I should do while there's still some daylight.
Have a great rest of the weekend, Karl. It was awesome seeing you, man.
Cheers, Scott.
Cheers, buddy.
Take care, bro.
Later.